Remember what it felt like to talk to each other, really talk, to kiss like time had stopped, to hold hands just because? You had plans and dreams and hopes together, and now you just pass each other in the hallway. You sleep in the same bed, but you're miles apart. You're not fighting, you're just more like roommates. And the worst part is you both remember what it used to feel like, and you can't figure out how you got here. Well, stay with me because this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. I know what you're thinking right now. We've grown apart. I married the wrong person, or we've fallen out of love. And I get why it feels that way. I hear you. But I think there's actually something very different going on in your marriage. I don't think that you've fallen out of love. I think that somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling safe with each other. I don't mean physically safe. I mean the ability to bring your real self, your fears, your deepest worries and concerns, your needs to this person sitting across from you and believe that they're not going to shut you down, they're not going to minimize you or use your words against you later. You had that once. I know you did. But something happened along the way. Maybe it was one big thing, or maybe it was 1,000 small things. That look that your spouse gave you, or that deeply hurtful thing they said, or you reached out to them and you got nothing back. You shared something vulnerable and you felt judged instead of understood. And your heart took note. The message to your brain, this person is no longer safe. So you stop reaching. You stop opening up. You start staying on the surface, not because you stopped caring about your spouse, but because going deeper feels like a risk not worth taking. That's not a dead marriage. That's a wounded marriage. And there's a big difference between the two. And if you're a woman listening to this, please understand, this is not just what wives experience. There are plenty of men who sat across from me over the years who are deeply lonely in their marriage, and they don't even have words for it. What you're feeling right now, your spouse may be feeling it too, just coming from a different place and in a different way. This is what emotional disconnection is, but it doesn't mean you're out of options and that the only thing left for you is divorce. I want to tell you about a couple I'm going to call David and Rachel. They've been married 14 years. They have 3 kids, great careers, and a home they've worked really hard for. On the outside, looking in, they look very stable. They show up to church every week. They go to every soccer game. They pay the bills on time. They're on track with their financial goals. They have family dinners together. Nothing seems overtly wrong with them. But David is sleeping in the guest room, and he's been there for the last 4 months. And here's what he says to me. It doesn't feel like my wife needs me anymore. We function really well. We're like business partners, but we've lost something that we used to have. I don't know if she even needs me now. He's not just frustrated, he's bewildered. He's been doing really well at work. He got a promotion recently. And yeah, he's been working a lot longer hours because that's where he gets a lot of value for who he is at work. He's been providing financially better than ever, but the distance between him and Rachel just continues to grow. And nothing that he tries seems to be working. Every time he reaches for her, she just gets still. She doesn't want to be hugged. She doesn't want to be kissed. And now he's gotten to the point where he doesn't want to even try to reach out to her because he doesn't want to face another silent rejection. So he's staying at the office later and later. Rachel, when he's saying all this to me, she's quiet. It's like there's no emotion on her face. She doesn't seem sad. She doesn't seem angry. She just seems flat. It's like she's heard all this before and it doesn't mean anything to her now. And I've seen this over and over. It doesn't mean that Rachel isn't feeling anything. It means that for so long she's felt so much and expressed so much of that, and yet nothing has changed. And she's gone to the point now where why bother sharing what she feels at all? Her nervous system has just finally switched off. They haven't been intimate in months, not because Rachel doesn't remember what that used to be like, but because she doesn't want to share herself physically with somebody that she doesn't feel emotionally safe with. And men, those of you listening, it's not that she's cold or frigid. It's not that she doesn't care anymore. It's that she's exhausted. This wall that she's built up between them isn't out of cruelty. It's built out of self-preservation. And here's what makes their situation so painful. Both of them at different times have turned to other people and exposed things that should have been kept private between the two of them. So now there's a layer of distrust. And every time they try to address it with each other, one of them or both of them gets defensive, gets upset, things escalate, they feel cornered, so voices rise, the wall goes up, and somebody's shutting down and walking away. Two people who actually do love each other, but they're both in pain. They're both showing up for their kids. They're both doing what needs to be done to keep the household running together. And everything looks good on the outside, but on the inside, they're both completely alone. Again, it's not a dead marriage, but it is a marriage that is running out of time. If your marriage is like David and Rachel's, please hear this. It's not hopeless no matter how much it feels that way. This does not have to be a permanent situation for you. I've seen couples who haven't had a serious, heartfelt conversation in years find their way back to each other. Couples who've been sleeping in opposite beds, who've already spoken to an attorney, figure it out, come back to each other, and build something beautiful out of what was. That doesn't mean the problems disappeared. It does mean they learned how to talk about them in safe ways. So let me give you a place to start today. And no, I'm not going to tell you to communicate more or communicate better, even if those things are valuable for you. Because honestly, when you're this disconnected, it's like telling somebody with a broken leg to go for a run. You can't start with vulnerability when trust is gone. It just doesn't happen. And you're not going to open up when every previous attempt has met with stony silence or defensiveness. We have to start a lot smaller than that. Something that you can actually do and want to do right now. So I want you to start with one moment of basic human warmth and don't attach any expectation to it. This is not a conversation. This is not a confrontation. It's not a sit down about your marriage. It's just one small gesture that says, I still care about you. I still care about us. So maybe you bring them a cup of coffee without being asked, or you send them a text at some point during the day saying, I'm thinking about you. Or you sit in the same room with them. Maybe you're not talking, but you also don't have your phone with you. That's it. No agenda. No speech afterwards. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just pulling down one tiny brick from that wall that has been built up between you. Secondly, I want you to stop trying to win. When your spouse says something that hurts you, and they will, most of us go into debate mode. Who is right? Who is wrong? Who's going to win this argument? But that has never worked in the history of marriage, ever. I've never met anyone who said to their spouse, you know, you've made some excellent points. I completely surrender to your point of view. So instead of going for the argument first, I want you to just stop and mentally count to 10. Sounds almost too simple, right? But what that does is it creates a small pause. Just enough of a pause to let your nervous system come down off of that ledge. And in that pause, I want you to ask yourself one question. What do I not yet understand about my spouse, about what they're trying to say to me that I need to know? Notice I didn't say, think about what you want to say in response. The 10-second pause isn't meant for you to shore up your response. I know you want to be heard. I know you want your perspective to be acknowledged, but that's what keeps us stuck in arguments. We're both so busy arguing our point that nobody actually gets listened to. That 10 count isn't about stuffing your feelings down or stuffing your perspective down. It's about giving you just enough time to get curious about what's going on with your spouse. not in a strategic way, not in a way that you can get what you want ultimately, but in a way that says, I want to understand this person the way I used to want to understand them. I want to know what's going on inside of them. And that shift from what I need you to know about me to what do I need to know about you is a game changer in your marriage. It's one of the smallest yet most powerful moves you can make to change this disconnection that you're feeling and bring you closer together. The third thing that I want you to do is just accept that you can't fix this marriage on your own, and nor were you expected to. When you made a covenant between each other, you also made it with God. So the first being that you need to go get help from is right there. But what do we do instead? We go out and we read all the self-help books and we listen to all the podcasts and we go to our friends and family for advice, often from people whose relationships aren't that great either. And those things don't have to be bad. They don't have to be weaknesses in your marriage. That's just the reality of who we are as humans. We tend to want to figure things out on our own, but getting help is not admitting defeat or failure. It's actually the most courageous and faith-filled thing you can do for your marriage because it means you believe your marriage is worth fighting for and you'll do whatever it takes to change it. If that's you, if you're watching this and you're thinking, Debbie, I don't even know if 3 tips can touch what's going on in my marriage right now, I get it. Sometimes the disconnection between you and your spouse has gone so deep that you need something more. That's why I created my Marriage in Bloom 6-month marriage intensive. It's designed to give you that guided process and the support that you both need as individuals and as a couple. If that's something you want to explore, there's a link below for you to schedule a free private marriage assessment, a 60-minute call with me. And if you're not quite there yet, that's okay. I've got a video I want you to watch next that goes a lot deeper than we went today. The link is below.